synopsis from last week. Sati, we know, who was performing penance to secure Shivji as her husband, was successful, and Shivji did appear before her and ask her about her wish. Seeing Shivji right in front of her, she was full of devotion, she was shy. So before even she could finish a sentence, Shivji, who fall in love with her right away after seeing her, he told her to be his wife. And that was the wish which was actually Sati, she was performing the penance for. So she agreed to it, but she requested him to ask her hand, in front of her father with all due marital rights. She asked her to take her with him. Shivji agreed, and he went back to Himalaya, and Sati went back to her father's place, her mother's place. The whole experience was narrated to her parents by her friends, upon listening to which, it was the environment, the atmosphere of festival, and they all celebrated it like anything. On the other hand, Shivaji, when he went to Himalaya, he was full of anxiety, being separated from Sati. He was getting restless. He tried to perform his yogic activities, but he couldn't. So he detached himself from it. Brahma, upon seeing this, he visited Shivaji, where Shiva narrated everything that had happened when he met Sati, and he asked him to take his marriage proposal to Daksha. On Daksha's side, Daksha was being worried. He was happy, he was delightful, but he was worried, thinking of the next steps, what it could be, whether Shivaji is going to come back, or whether he should send someone to him. So he was full of questions, he was full of worries, and Brahmaji, on the other hand, as directed by Shivaji, went to Daksha, and upon seeing Brahmaji, Daksha asked him for if there is any specific reason here he's been visiting him. So Brahmaji narrated everything, what Shivaji, he came here to propose Daksha for Sati's marriage with Shivaji. So Daksha was full of happiness, as that is what the whole intent was for all this, whatever was happening. So Daksha accepted everything, and he mentioned him that on an auspicious day, Shivaji can come with all his attendants and whosoever wants to come for the marriage, and take Sati with him. Brahma went back and give the same message to Shivaji, and Shivaji, along with Brahma, Narad, and all his Brahma's sons, directed them to go to Daksha's place for getting married. And in the month of Chaitra, which falls somewhere in between, I think March and April, on the 13th day, when the star was Uttara Falguni, which fell on a Sunday, they started going and celebrating the marriage which happened between Shivaji and Sati. Upon reaching Daksha's place, Vishnu also accompanied them with his wife, Mata Lakshmi, and when they reached Daksha's place, Daksha was very happy. He wholeheartedly he welcomed them. He praised them. He prayed them, and so he gave his daughter's hand to Shivaji, and this is where we read till last time. Now today we are going to read chapter 19 and 20, which is all about description, where they're going to describe all Shiva's sports, and they will describe the festivities around this Sati's marriage. Our English reader is Rima Aunty, and our Hindi reader is Rashna Aunty. Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji. Chapter 19, Description of Shiva's sports. Brahma said, after giving his daughter in marriage, Daksha gave her different articles in the form of dowry. Many gifts were given to Shiva. Daksha gave monetary gifts to the Brahmins with great delight. Then Vishnu stood up, approaching Shiva with palms joined in reverence, and accompanied by Lakshmi, the Garuda vehicle, God Vishnu spoke thus. Vishnu said, O great Lord, O ocean of mercy, Lord of Devas, O dear one, you are the father and Sati is the mother of the world. You have taken incarnation out of sheer sport for the welfare of the good and suppression of the wicked, so says the eternal scripture. You are fair complexion, and Sati has the blue lustre of the glossy collyrium. I, on the other hand, am in blue in hue, and Lakshmi is fair complexion. You two shine in juxtaposition with us two. O Shiva, along with the Sati, protect the good people and the Devas. Similarly, always bestow auspicious goodness upon the people of this world. O Lord of living beings, this is my humble submission. You shall kill the man, whoever it may be, who sees or hears her with lust in his mind. Brahma said, on hearing these words of Vishnu, Lord Shiva laughed. The omniscient Lord told the slayer of Madhu, be it so. O great sage, after this Vishnu returned to his abode. He kept the incident quite secret but asked the people to continue the festivities. I approached the goddess Sati and performed in detail all the sacrificial rites as laid down in the Grah Sutras. Then at my bidding in the capacity of the main priest, Shiv and Shiva duly and with great delight performed the circumambulation of the sacred fire. O excellent Brahmin, then wonderfully great festivities were conducted, with beatings of drums and playings of musical instruments accompanied by songs and dances pleasing everyone. Then a surprisingly strange event occurred there. Dear one, listen to it. I shall tell you. Shiva's power of illusion is inscrutable. The whole universe, the mobile or immobile, is deluded by it, devas and asuras. Formerly I wished to delude Shiva by deceitful means, but now Shiva himself has deluded me by means of his divine sports. If a man wishes evil of others, he himself becomes the victim of the same. There is no doubt about it. Realizing this, no man shall wish evil of anyone else. O sage, while going round the fire, the feet of Sati protruded out of the cloth that covered them. I looked at them. My mind being afflicted by love, I stared at the limbs of Sati. O excellent Brahmin, I was deluded by Shiva's Maya. The more I stared at the beautiful limbs of Sati eagerly, the more I became thrilled like a love-afflicted man. Staring thus at the chaste daughter of Daksha and being afflicted by the Cupid, O sage, I craved to see her face. Since she was bashful in the presence of Shiva, I could not see her face. She did not show out her face on account of shyness. Then I began to consider proper means whereby I could see the face. Afflicted much by the Cupid, I pitched upon the production of airful smoke as the means thereof. I put many wet twigs into the fire, only very little ghee did I pour into the fire. Much smoke arose out of the fire from the wet twigs, so much so that darkness enveloped the whole altar ground and the neighborhood. The Lord Shiva, the supreme god, indulged in many sports, covered his eyes, apparently afflicted by smoke. Then, O sage, afflicted by the Cupid and delighted in the heart of hearts, I lifted her veil and stared into the face of Sati. I looked at the face of Sati many a time. I was helpless in curbing the onset of a sensuous organism. 4 drops of my semen wall got displaced and fell on the ground like drops of dew as a result of staring into her face. O sage, then I was stunned into silence. I was surprised. I became suspicious. I covered up the semen drops by lest anyone should see them. But the Lord Shiva saw it by his divine vision. The trickling down of the semen excited his fury, and he said, Shiva said, O sinful wretch, what a despicable mess you have perpetrated. At the time of our marriage, you have passionately gazed at the face of my beloved. You think that this blunder has not been known by me at all? There is nothing that is unknown to me in 3 worlds. O Brahman, how can it then remain hidden? O foolish fellow, just as the oil is latent in the gingerly seed, so also I am present within everything in the 3 worlds, whether mobile or immobile. Brahma said, saying thus and remembering the words of Vishnu, Shiva, who dearly loved Vishnu, lifted his trident and wished to kill me. O excellent Brahmin, when the trident was lifted up by him to kill me, Marichi and the others raised a hue and cry. Then all the devas and the sages, extremely terrified, began to eulogize him who was blazing there. Devas said, O Lord, O great Lord, favorably disposed to those who seek refuge, to Shiva, save me. O Lord Shiva, be pleased. O great Lord, you are the father of the universe. Sati is the mother of the universe. O Lord of Devas, Vishnu, Brahma, and others are all your slaves. Mysterious is your form, O Lord, and mysterious are your divine sports. Your Maya is enigmatic and complex. Everything and everyone except your devoted is deluded by it, O Lord. Brahma said, thus in many ways the timid and frightened Devas and the sages eulogized the Lord of Devas who was furious. Suspecting some terrible disaster, Daksha raised his hand and rushed at Shiva, preventing him with shouts of, Oh, don't do this! Oh, don't do this! Seeking Seeing Daksha in front of him in a state of excited suspicion and remembering the request of Vishnu, Lord Shiva spoke these displeasing words. Lord Shiva said, O Patriarch Daksha, what has been just requested by Vishnu, my great devotee, and agreed to me by, shall be done here. O Lord, whoever stares at Sati lustfully shall be killed by you. I shall make these words of Vishnu true by killing Brahma. Why did Brahma stare at Sati lustfully? Moreover, he has committed a sin by discharging his semen. Hence I shall kill him. Brahma said, when the Lord of Devas spoke thus furiously, all the people, including Devas, sages, and human beings, trembled. There was a piteous cry of distress. Everywhere tense suspense prevailed. Then I, who wanted to delude him, was myself deluded. Then the intelligent Vishnu, the great favorite of Shiva, and very clever in managing all affairs, bowed down and lauded Rudra, who spoke as before. Standing in front of him and singing various songs of praise to Shiva, who is favorably disposed towards his devotees, he prevented him and said thus, Vishnu said, O Lord Shiva, do not kill Brahma, the creator and lord of the worlds. He has sought refuge in you, and you are reputed to be favorable disposed to those who seek refuge in you. O Lord, I am a great favorite of yours and am called the chief of devotees. Keeping my submission in mind, be merciful towards me. O Lord, please hear another statement of mine of very great significance. You must consider it, O Lord Shiva, being merciful to me. O Shiva, this four-faced deity has manifested himself to create the subjects. If he were killed, there will be none to create the subjects. O Lord, we three are carrying out the functions of creation, sustenance, and dissolution repeatedly as you bid us in the form of Shiva. O Shiva, if he killed, who will carry out your directives? Hence, O Lord, the annihilator, you shall not kill the creator. O Lord, it was by him that Sati, the daughter of Daksha, was fixed up as your wife by good means. Brahma said, on hearing this entreaty of Vishnu, Shiva is steady resolve, proclaimed in replying, making everyone hear. Lord Shiva said, O Vishnu, Lord of Devas, and as dear to me as my vital heirs, do not prevent me from killing him. He is rogue. I shall fulfill your first entreaty already accepted by me. I shall kill this wicked four-faced one who has committed a great sin. I shall myself create all living beings, mobile and immobile, or by my splendid power I shall create another creator. Killing this Brahma and keeping up my plighted word, I shall create another creator. Excuse me, do not prevent me. Brahma said, on hearing these words of Shiva, Vishnu spoke again, smiling to himself and saying, Oh, don't do this. Vishnu said, fulfilling the promise is but proper in you, the great being. But consider, O Lord, the desire to kill cannot be directed to one's own self. We three, O Shiva, are your own selves. We are not different. We are of the same form. Think over the exact state. Brahma said, then on hearing the words of Vishnu, a great favorite, Shiva spoke again, announcing his own special pursuit. Shiva said, O Vishnu, Lord of all devotees, how can this Brahma be my own self? He is observed as different, standing before me. Brahma said, thus commanded by Shiva in the presence of all, Vishnu spoke, thus propitiating the great Lord. Vishnu said, O Sadashiv, Brahma is not different from you, nor are you different from him. I am not different from you, O great Lord, nor are you different from me. O omniscient great Lord, Sadashiv, you know all. but you wish to make it all heard through my oral explanation. O Shiva, I say at your bidding, may all the devas, the sages, and others hear after retaining the principles of Seva cult in their mind. O Lord of Thee, the manifest and unmanifest, divisible and undivisible, possessed of form or of formless brilliance, we three are the parts. Who are you? Who am I? Who is Brahma? Your own three parts are being the Supreme Soul. They are different only as the cause of creation, sustenance, and dissolution. You shall think of yourself through your own self. O Divine One, taking up a physical body of your own sports, you are the sole Brahman, while we three in attributive forms are your very parts. O Shiva, just as the self-same body of has the parts of head, neck, etc., so also we are the three parts of Shiva. O Shiva, you are the supreme brilliance, the, the firmament having your own abode. You are the primordial being, the immovable, the unmanifest of endless forms, the eternal and devoid of attributes, length, etc. From this form alone everything has emanated. Brahma said, O excellent sage, on hearing these words the great Lord Shiva was delighted. He did not slay me. Chapter 20, Sati's Marriage Festival. Narada said, O Lord Brahma, the unfortunate one, foremost of Shiva's devotees, you have narrated the wonderfully auspicious story of Shiva. O dear one, what happened after that? Please continue to narrate the story of the moon-crested Shiva and Sati, the wonderful story that quells all sins. Brahma said, when Shiva, who is sympathetic towards his devotees, desisted from killing me, all became fearless, happy and pleased. All of them bowed with stooping shoulders and palms joined in reverence. They lauded Shiva with devotion. They shouted cries of victory with pleasure. At the same time, delighted and fearless, O sage, I eulogize Shiva with devotion by means of auspicious prayers. O sage, the Lord Shiva, who was delighted in his mind and who is an adept in many a divine sport, spoke to me within the hearing of all. Rudra said, Dear Brahma, I'm glad you can be free from fear. You touch your head with your hand, unhesitatingly carry out my best. Brahma said, on hearing these words of Lord Shiva, adept in divine sports, I touched my head and in this manner bowed to Shiva. When I thus touched my head, I assumed the shape of his vehicle, the bull. Then I was too much ashamed. I stood with my head bent down. Indra and other devas standing around saw me in that plight. Ashamed that I was, I repeatedly bowed to him and after offering prayer spoke to him again. I may be excused, I may be excused. O Lord, tell me the mode of atonement for my sin. Even killing is justifiable. May my sin be removed thereby. Thus addressed by me, Shiva, the Lord of all, who is favorable, delightedly told me as I stood bowing to him. Shiva said, in this very form of a bull, whereon I said, you shall perform penance with pleasure in your heart and desire for propitiating me. You will require the glory of being called the head of Rudra in the world. You will be the accomplisher of rites for Brahmins of great repute. Discharge of semen is the act of human beings, and as you have done the same, you will be born as a man and be roaming over the earth. When you wander over the earth in this form, people will be asking what is there on the head of Brahma, and you shall reply, Shiva. Anybody who has committed the sin of outraging the modesty of another man's wife will be free from that sin if he eagerly hears your story. Whenever people thus repeat your wicked action, your sin will gradually subside and you will become pure. O Brahma, this is the atonement I lay down for you, being laughed at by the people and ridiculed by them. The semen drops that fell in the middle of the altar ground from you when you were excited by lust and seen by me will not be retained by anyone. 4 drops of your semen fell on the ground, hence so many terrible clouds causing dissolution shall rise up in the sky. In the meantime, when Shiva said so, in front of the devas and the sages, so many clouds emanated from the semen drops. O dear one, 4 types of great clouds that cause destruction are the Samvartaka, the Avarta, the Pushkar and the Drona. O excellent sage, those clouds rumbling and roaring with hideous sounds, dropping showers at the slightest wish of Shiva, burst asunder in the sky. When the sky was covered by those roaring clouds, Shiva and the goddess Shiva were quite calm. O sage, thereafter becoming fearless, I concluded the remaining rites of the marriage at the bidding of Shiva. O excellent sage, a shower of flowers dropped by the Devas with great pleasure fell on the heads of Shiv and Shiva, and also on all their sides. O Narad, great festivities were conducted by the wives of the Devas, musical instruments were played, songs were sung, Vedic hymns were recited devoutly by groups of Brahmins. The celestial damsels, Ramba, and others danced zealously. Then the delightful Lord, the Lord of sacrificial rites, following the conventions of the world, spoke to me as I was standing with palms joined in reverence. Shiva said, O Brahma, all the rites of marriage have been performed extremely well. I am pleased. You officiated as the priest. What shall I give you as the nuptial fee? O eldest of Devas, you can demand it even if it be hard to get. Tell me quickly, O fortunate one, for there is nothing which cannot be granted by me. Brahma said, O sage, on hearing these words of Shiva, I humbly bowed to him repeatedly with palms joined in reverence and said, O Lord of Devas, if you are pleased, if I deserve your blessings, O Lord, please do as I request you with pleasure. O Lord Shiva, for the purification of men from sins, you will please stay forever in this altar in this self-same form. O moon-crested God, I shall make my hermitage in its vicinity and perform penance to destroy my sin. If anyone visits this holy site on the 13th day in the bright half of Chaitra, that is March and April, when the star is Uttara Falguni and the day is Sunday, may all his sins be quelled. O Shiva, may his merits increase and may his ailments disappear. If a woman who is barren, one-eyed, ugly, or unfortunate visit this place, she shall be freed from all these defects. On hearing these words of mine, Shiva was pleased and he said, Let it be so. This made me very happy. Shiva said, Oh, for the benefits of the people, I shall stay in this altar with my wife Sati in accordance with your words of request. Brahma said, after saying this, the Lord Shiva in the company of his wife stayed in the middle of the altar, creating a partial image of himself. Taking leave of Daksha, Shiva, the great Lord, desired to depart along with his wife Sati. He was so fond of his own men. In the meantime, the intelligent Daksha bowed humbly with palms joined in reverence and eulogized Shiva with devotion. Vishnu, the gods, and the Ganas bowed too and lauded him, shouting cries of victory with pleasure. With the joyous consent of Daksha, Shiva seated Sati on the bull and then seating himself on it went to the Himalayan ridges. Seated on the bull along with Shiva, the sweet-smiling Sati of fine teeth shone like a black cloud near the moon. Vishnu and other devas, Marichi and other sages, Daksha and the other people were all in a state of pleasant, steady senselessness. Some played on musical instruments, others sang sweetly the lustrous glory of Shiva. They all followed Shiva joyously. Half the way Shiva took leave of Daksha with pleasure. Along with his followers, Daksha returned to his abode thrilled by Shiva's love. Vishnu and other devas, though permitted to go, followed Shiva with devotion and great joy. With these, his wife and his attendant Shiva reached his abode in the beauteous surroundings of the Himalayas, where, with great delight. After reaching his abode, Shiva honored the devas and the great sages and then bade farewell to them with respect. Taking leave of Shiva, eulogizing and bowing to him, Vishnu, as also the gods and sages with joyful beaming faces, returned to their respective abodes. Shiva, with boundless pleasure in the company of his wife, the daughter of Daksha, sported in the Himalayan region following the conventions of the world. Then, O sage, Shiva, the primordial creation, entered his residence in Kailasha, the best of mountains, along with Sati and his attendants. Thus I have narrated to you all how the marriage of the bull vehicle Lord took place formerly in the Manvantara of Swayambhuva Manu. If anyone hears this narrative with concentrated attention after worshipping Shiva at marriages, sacrifices, or other auspicious undertakings, all the rites of marriage or other auspicious undertaking will always conclude without obstacles. The bride will be blessed with happiness, good fortune, good conduct, and good qualities. She will be chaste and produce sons on hearing this auspicious narration. Jai Guruji. Shukrana Guruji. Rachna Aunty will be reading in Hindi. Jai Guruji.
जय गुरु जी। अध्याय 19 और 20। सती और शिव के द्वारा अग्नि की परिक्रमा, श्रीहरि द्वारा शिव तत्व का वर्णन, शिव का ब्रह्मा जी को दिए हुए वर के अनुसार वेदी पर सदा के लिए अवस्थान तथा शिव और सती का विदा हो कैलाश पर जाना। ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं, हे नारद, कन्यादान करके दक्ष ने भगवान शंकर को नाना प्रकार की वस्तुएं दहेज में दी। यह सब करके वे बड़े प्रसन्न हुए। फिर उन्होंने ब्राह्मणों को भी नाना प्रकार के धन बांटे। तत्पश्चात लक्ष्मी सहित भगवान विष्णु शंभु के पास हाथ जोड़कर खड़े हुए और यूं बोले, देव देव महादेव, दया सागर, प्रभो तात, आप संपूर्ण जगत के पिता हैं और सती देवी सबकी माता है। आप दोनों सत्पुरुषों के कल्याण तथा दुष्टों के दमन के लिए सदा लीला पूर्वक अवतार ग्रहण करते हैं। यह सनातन श्रुति का कथन है। आप चिकने नील अंजन के समान शोभा वाली सती के साथ जिस प्रकार शोभा पा रहे हैं, मैं उससे उल्टे लक्ष्मी जी के साथ शोभा पा रहा हूँ। अर्थात सती नील वर्णा तथा आप गौरव वर्ण हैं। उससे उल्टे मैं नील वर्ण तथा लक्ष्मी गौर वर्णा है। नारद, मैं देवी सती के पास आकर गृह सूत्रोक्त विधि से विस्तार पूर्वक सारा अग्नि कार्य कराने लगा। मुझे आश्चर्य तथा ब्राह्मणों की आज्ञा से शिवा और शिव ने बड़े हर्ष के साथ विधि पूर्वक अग्नि की परिक्रमा की। उस समय वहां बड़ा अद्भुत उत्सव मनाया गया। गाजे बाजे और नृत्य के साथ होने वाला वह उत्सव सबको बड़ा सुखद जान पड़ा। तदनंतर भगवान विष्णु बोले, सदाशिव, मैं आपकी आज्ञा से यहाँ शिव तत्व का वर्णन करता हूँ। समस्त देवता तथा दूसरे दूसरे मुनि अपने मन को एकाग्र करके इस विषयों को सुने। भगवान, आप प्रधान और अप्रधान, प्रकृति और उससे अतीत हैं। आपके अनेक भाग हैं, फिर भी आप भाग रहित हैं। ज्योतिर्मय स्वरूप वाले आप परमेश्वर के ही हम तीनों के देवता अंश हैं। आप कौन, मैं कौन और ब्रह्मा कौन है? आप परमात्मा के ही ये तीन अंश हैं जो सृष्टि, पालन और संहार करने के कारण एक दूसरे से भिन्न प्रतीत होते हैं। आप अपने स्वरूप का चिंतन कीजिए। आपने स्वयं ही लीला पूर्वक शरीर धारण किया है। आप निर्गुण ब्रह्म रूप से एक हैं। आप ही सगुण ब्रह्म हैं और हम ब्रह्मा, विष्णु तथा रुद्र तीनों आपके अंश हैं। जैसे एक ही शरीर के भिन्न भिन्न अवयव मस्तक, ग्रीवा आदि नाम धारण करते हैं, तथापि उस शरीर से वे भिन्न नहीं हैं, उसी प्रकार हम तीनों अंश आप परमेश्वर के ही अंग हैं, जो ज्योतिर्मय आकाश के समान सर्वव्यापी एवं निर्लेप, स्वयं ही अपना धाम, पुराण, कूटस्थ, अव्यक्त, अनंत, नित्य तथा दीर्घ आदि विशेषणों से रहित निर्विशेष ब्रह्म है। वही आय शिव है। अतः आप ही सब कुछ हैं। ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं, मुनीश्वर, भगवान विष्णु की ये बात सुनकर महादेव जी बड़े प्रसन्न हुए। तदनंतर उस विवाह यज्ञ के स्वामी यजमान परमेश्वर शिव प्रसन्न हो लौकिकी गीत का आश्रय ले हाथ जोड़कर खड़े हुए मुझ ब्रह्मा से प्रेम पूर्वक बोले। शिव ने कहा, ब्राह्मण, आपने सारा वैवाहिक कार्य अच्छी तरह संपन्न किया है। अब मैं प्रसन्न हूँ। आप मेरे आचार्य हैं। बताइए, आपको क्या दक्षिणा दूं? सूर्यज्येष्ठ, आप इस दक्षिणा को मांगिए। महाभाग, यदि वह अत्यंत दुर्लभ हो तो भी उसे शीघ्र कहिए। मुझे आपके लिए कुछ भी अदेय नहीं है। मुने, भगवान शंकर का यह वचन सुनकर मैं हाथ जोड़ विनीत चित्त से उन्हें बारंबार प्रणाम करने लगा और बोला, देवेश, यदि आप प्रसन्न हो और महेश्वर, यदि मैं वर पाने के योग्य हूँ तो प्रसन्नता पूर्वक जो बात कहता हूँ उसे आप पूर्ण कीजिए। महादेव, आप इसी रूप में किसी वेदी पर सदा विराजमान रहें, जिससे आपके दर्शन से मनुष्यों के पाप धुल जाएं। चंद्रशेखर, आपका सानिध्य होने से इस वेदी के समीप आश्रम बनाकर तपस्या करूं, यह मेरी अभिलाषा है। चैत्र के शुक्ल पक्ष की त्रयोदशी को पूर्वा फाल्गुनी नक्षत्र में रविवार के दिन इस भूतल पर जो मनुष्य भक्ति भाव से आपका दर्शन करे, उसके सारे पाप तत्काल नष्ट हो जाए, विपुल पुण्य की वृद्धि हो और समस्त रोगों का सर्वथा नाश हो। जो नारी दुर्भगा, वंध्या, कानी अथवा रूपहीन हो, वह भी आपके दर्शन मात्र से ही अवश्य निर्दोष हो जाए। मेरी ये बात उनकी आत्मा को सुख देने वाली थी। इसे सुनकर भगवान शिव ने प्रसन्नचित से कहा, विधाता, ऐसा ही होगा। मैं तुम्हारे कहने से संपूर्ण जगत के हित के लिए अपनी पत्नी सती के साथ इस वेदी पर सुस्थिर भाव से स्थित रहूंगा। ऐसा कहकर पत्नी सहित भगवान शिव अपनी अंश रूपिणी मूर्ति को प्रकट करके वेदी के मध्य भाग में विराजमान हो गए। तत्पश्चात स्वजनों पर स्नेह रखने वाले परमेश्वर शंकर दक्ष से विदा ले अपनी पत्नी सती के साथ कैलाश जाने को उद्यत हुए। उस समय उत्तम बुद्धि वाले दक्ष ने विनय से मस्तक झुका हाथ जोड़ भगवान वृषभ ध्वज की प्रेम पूर्वक स्तुति की। फिर श्री विष्णु आदि समस्त देवताओं, मुनियों और शिव गणों ने नमस्कार पूर्वक नाना प्रकार की स्तुति करके बड़े आनंद से जय जयकार किया। तदनंतर दक्ष जी की आज्ञा से भगवान शिव ने प्रसन्नता पूर्वक सती को वृषभ की पीठ पर बिठाया और स्वयं भी उस पर आरूढ़ हो वे प्रभु हिमालय पर्वत की ओर चले। भगवान शंकर के समीप वृषभ पर बैठी हुई सुंदर दांत और मनोहर हास वाली सती अपने नील श्याम वर्ण के कारण चंद्रमा में नीली रेखा के समान शोभा पा रही थी। उस समय उन नव दंपति को शोभा देखकर श्री विष्णु आदि समस्त देवता, मरीचि आदि महर्षि तथा दूसरे लोग ठगे से रह गए, हिलडुल भी न सके तथा दक्ष भी मोहित हो गए। तत्पश्चात कोई बाजे बजाने लगे और दूसरे लोग मधुर स्वर से गीत गाने लगे। कितने ही लोग प्रसन्नता पूर्वक शिव के कल्याण में उज्जवल यश का गान करते हुए उनके पीछे पीछे चले। भगवान शंकर ने बीच रास्ते में दक्ष को प्रसन्नता पूर्वक लौटा दिया और स्वयं प्रेमाकुल हो प्रमथ गणों के साथ अपने धाम को जा पहुंचे। यद्यपि भगवान शिव ने विष्णु आदि देवताओं को भी विदा कर दिया था, तो भी वे बड़ी प्रसन्नता और भक्ति के साथ पुनः उनके साथ हो लिए। उन सब देवताओं, प्रमथगणों तथा उनकी पत्नी सती के साथ हर्ष भरे शंभु हिमालय पर्वत से सुशोभित अपने कैलाश धाम जा पहुंचे, जहां जाकर उन्होंने देवताओं, मुनियों तथा दूसरे लोगों का बहुत आदर सम्मान करके उन्हें प्रसन्नता पूर्वक विदा किया। शंभु की आज्ञा ले वे विष्णु आदि सब देवता तथा मुनि नमस्कार और स्तुति करके मुख पर प्रसन्नता की छाप लिए अपने अपने धामों को चले गए। सदा शिव का चिंतन करने वाले भगवान शिव भी अत्यंत आनंदित हो हिमालय के शिखर पर रहकर अपनी पत्नी दक्ष कन्या सती के साथ विहार करने लगे। सूत जी कहते हैं, मुनियों, पूर्व काल में स्वयंभू मनवंतर भगवान शंकर और सती का जिस प्रकार विवाह हुआ, वह सारा प्रसंग मैंने तुमसे कह दिया। जो विवाह काल में, यज्ञ में अथवा किसी भी शुभ कार्य में आरंभ से भगवान शंकर जी की पूजा करके शांत चित्त से इस कथा को सुनता है, उसका सारा कर्म तथा वैवाहिक आयोजन बिना किसी विघ्न बाधा के पूर्ण होता है और दूसरे शुभ कर्म भी सदा निर्विघ्न पूर्ण होते हैं। इस शुभ उपाख्यान को प्रेम पूर्वक सुनकर विवाहित होने वाली कन्या भी सुख, सौभाग्य, सुशीलता और सदाचार आदि सद्गुणों में संपन्न साध्वी, स्त्री तथा पुत्रवती होती है। समाप्त अध्याय 19 और 20। जय गुरु जी।